right, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Get It Done podcast, where we talk about books, business, and branding for authors. I am your host, Ashley King, aka the Get It Done Queen, where I help people of faith tell their story by writing a book and maximizing their reach through speaking and events. Guys, I am so excited. I have a wonderful guest this evening. She's my name twin, as well as we went to the same high school together, just graduated separate years. So I want to bring on the author of Broken, Miss Ashley Poole. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So I want you to go ahead, and tell the audience, the listeners, a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am a lady of many things.
Okay.
I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for the past 2 years. Got out of property management a couple of years ago just to branch out a little bit more for the flexibility. I am married. I've been married for 8 years. Just celebrated my 8th anniversary, May 13th. Thank you. And I have 3 beautiful children, 7, 6, and 5. No, I'm sorry. So I have an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
So, were you affected by like the homeschooling? Did you have to do any homeschooling?
Yes, like their teachers are in tune with this Zoom, and their schedules is laid out for which subjects they have to take, the time in which they need to be zooming in. So it has been an experience, but it's been good. It's been really, really good.
Dope. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this book, Broken. Go ahead and tell us what Broken is all about.
So the main character is Meghan Parks, and she basically had a traumatic experience at the tender age of 13. And following behind that, there was some other things that occurred. I would describe her as very, very passive. She's a very passive young lady, where she dealt with a lot of things. And in the process of dealing with different circumstances, different events in her life and in her journey, she just never really healed. And, hurt people end up hurting people.
Yes,
and what eventually ended up happening, throughout her journey, never going through that process of healing, never really understanding self-love, it just ended up putting her in some really tough situations where she ended up having to face her own demons.
Definitely. So I think that's a really true to date, type of thing, how, hurt people, people, especially a lot of women, we come out of different relationships that have impact us, in various ways. We can come out bitter, broken, we can come out better. But, when we don't heal from that, we usually take it on to the next relationship and just carry that hurt and that burden. And I'm assuming that's what kind of Meghan did. And, would you say, is this Meghan, is she inspired by anyone, as far as the book, how did you come up with this character, Meghan?
Well, I am Meghan Parks. And I think a lot of women in this world could basically relate to who Meghan Parks is. And that is something that I have learned since I launched my book. I have received so many messages, text messages, inboxes of, people like, this was like inspiring, like it made them see themselves in so many ways, because for one, whether it was sexual abuse, which a lot of women have dealt with sexual abuse, and have not talked about it because it's just been swept up under the rug, which was one of the main things that took place with Meghan, you know, at 13, dealing with sexual abuse. And then again, which was with a family member, to being 17 years old and experiencing the same situation, but with a complete stranger, you know. So just dealing with that, then dealing with the person that you love, and dealing with that heartbreak, you know. And like, this book contains so many different topics, and it's just like, if you were standing in a crowd and you start to name out certain things, how many women have been sexually abused? How many women have had their heart broken? How many women have lost a child? You know, like, it's how many women have relationship issues with people within their family? You know, like, it's a lot of things that Meghan dealt with, that just, it was just moved on. You know, she just moved on with her life and just never dealt with them. And I think a lot of us do that. We just move on. We tell ourselves, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. You know, when in reality, you're really not good. And then when you get to that point in your life where something is happening, you know, you have a husband and now you have to deal with them. And then those insecurities come out from your past. That's proof that you have not healed, you know. Or even with dealing with your children, you know, certain things of how you respond, the things that you say to them, and you realize that, okay, I haven't dealt with this that I dealt with my own parents. So you're passing on your unhealed emotions to the people that you actually love. And it just carries on and carries on. And it's just like, at what point are you going to realize, okay, I need to do something about myself, and, you know, so that I can stop hurting the people that I say I love.
Mm-hmm. When you was listing off of those things, I checked 3 out of the 4 boxes. I was like, me. So, I mean, you posed a good question. You know, at what point does one say, I need to stop this and heal? So, at what point did you realize, you know, as far as your character Meghan, that you needed to stop this pattern and, you know, heal before you go on and, you know, being broken into another relationship?
I think the thing about not going through the healing process is, as you're going on through life, and it's like you're the victim throughout this journey. You're the victim because you're hurt. You're dealing with different relationships, and different things are happening, and it's adding on to what is already there, and to the point where you become a reflection of what you've dealt with. Mm-hmm. And Meghan ended up becoming a reflection of infidelity. You know, she ended up stepping out and having an affair. And when everything came up to surface, it was just like, for one, this is not you. And you're responding, and the hurt that she saw from her husband, that she loved dearly, and knowing that her actions could possibly tear her family apart. She, at that point, it was just like, okay, I'm hurting, and I'm about to risk everything that actually means something to me. Like, all of these things mean something, like, to me. And the point where she had to face that and see that the person that she loved was hurting so bad. And it was just like, I know I can relate to your hurt, because in me, and a person of love, I would never want you to feel what I felt. And just seeing a loved one feeling like that, it was just like, you need to sit down, self-reflect, and figure out what you need to do to better yourself, because you got some things that got some healing to do, and you have to make those steps. But I think that was the moment of just seeing someone that she loved so much that she had hurt deeply, and she can pretty much relate. It's like the shoe was on the other foot.
Definitely. I mean, not that you can speak for everyone, but do you think that it's hard for people who've been hurt to actually pause and do a self-reflection? Because some people literally go on for years in a stage of hurt. And so it's just like, do you think a lot of people ever catch on to their patterns, or do you think, they continue to go into this vicious cycle and just blame everyone else for, their issues and continue on to have this fixed mindset? What do you think?
I think as long as you continue to point the finger at the other person on the opposite side and not look at yourself to see where you play in the relationship and the situation and the events that have occurred, you will never grow. You will never grow. I think that it halts your growth and development of becoming your best self, is because you can't identify where you play in the situation. And you have to see that you're not perfect, and there are some things that you need to do in order to grow, like for yourself, as well as being able to have healthy relationships.
Definitely. So how would you say one, or even Meghan, how would one or Meghan heal from being hurt? Like, I don't know if there's some things, there's a process, like, how do people heal from being hurt?
So I'm gonna share my notes. I believe that it's the steps of atonement.
Okay.
And the first step of atonement is pointing out the wrong, which is really difficult for people. It's because you have to basically figure out how that first you have to admit that you've wronged someone. And not many people can pretty much like admit that. Yeah. Like I've made a mistake. I've hurt someone. Like some people, it's really hard for people to just say sorry. You know, and you have to be able to point out the wrong. The second step is being able to acknowledge the wrong, which is the fact that you have been hurt as well. Acknowledging the fact that you have been wrong. The third is confessing your fault, which is seeking to your higher being, God, and confessing to him. In addition to going to the people that you have wronged, going person to person and atoning with them, just trying to clear up any ill feelings, any ill situations that have occurred, just being able to talk it out and communicate for resolution. The fourth is repentance. The fifth is atonement, when you're willing to take steps to do something. Forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself, and you have to forgive others, to basically release all resentment, as well as feeling on the offense of things. The seventh is reconciliation or restoration, is being able to resolve differences and being able to build up those relationships with the people that really matters the most to you. And some of those relationships, long as you can find closure, some of those relationships may not be the way that they were from the beginning, but the fact that you found closure, that's a part of the healing the healing process. And again, like some of those other relationships where you may begin to reconcile, like they may become better than they were before. And the eighth one is your perfect union with God. That's the completion. because he's going to be guiding you throughout this entire process,
Yes.
of taking these 8 steps. And he's the perfect guide of leading you to what self-love is. So I believe in those 8 steps, and I believe those 8 steps is a perfect process of beginning to heal and become a better you.
Definitely, those are amazing. I love that. I'm pretty. The listeners, they're loving it. I just they're loving it. So I mean, I hashtag I am Megan. If since this is your story, and was it hard to write, or should I say, was it hard to come across the idea that I'm going to be sharing this with the world? How did that play on you? The thoughts as far as other people are going to be reading this story.
Oh man, let me tell you. So, because in the process of writing this book, nobody knew I was writing this book. The only person that knew, or the people that knew, was my husband and my children. But even my husband had no idea of what was going to be in this book, the content of this book. And with him being my go-to person to seek advice and get his opinion on certain things, like, that part was tough, but I was so grateful for you as my publisher, because it was just like, yo, like, even when I sent you that first edit, and you was like, you're gonna have to dive a little bit into this, like, you're gonna have to go deeper, Ashley, because I wasn't giving enough, you was just like, even I can pray with you, like, this is what I do. And it was like, at that moment, it was like, I can do this. I can do this, because this is way deeper than me, And at that moment, it was just like, I gave it my all. And I knew, and some people still don't know that this is my story, but some people that was a part of those events that took place, like, even some of my friends, it was like, am I so and so and so and so? And I was like, yeah, they were able to pinpoint themselves,
Yeah.
But some people really don't know that this is my true story. And going through that process, it was tough, because it felt like I was reliving every moment all over again. And I was by myself, because I couldn't just go and cuddle, like, those down moments. And it was like, my husband, he was there, but he was like, I don't even know what to say, because I don't know what's going on, or where you are, So it was a really, really tough process. Like, I think I went through every emotion, to laughing, to crying, to just feeling down, like, and I'll probably sit it down for a couple of days and not even tend to it, but it was truly a process. But afterwards, like, the completion process, I was just like, you did it, girl. Like, and this is going to be, like, really the perfect step for you, because it was like me screaming. You know how, like, they say, when you have all of this inside of you, like, my book is me screaming, like, like, I
Yes.
feel
Yes.
delivered. Like, I feel free. Like, nobody can hold me back from anything. Like, I am free from all bondage, and it feels good. It feels good.
Yes, I love hearing that. Like, it's such a freedom. Like, I usually don't tell people my story, and but when I wrote my very first book, The Guide to Being Single, Satisfied, and Saved, after I published it, family, friends, they buy it to support. But I didn't promote my book for 3 years, because I was too ashamed of what people would think of me. So when authors go through that, like, I completely understand. But when I took that first step and went out there, I will never forget. I went to a church that had a function, and I was out there promoting my book, and a minister came up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the author of this book. I have someone in the church that's reading it. Oh my gosh, she'd love to meet you." I was like, wow, I was sitting on this for 3 years. Imagine how many more people I could have helped if I would have been really out here promoting this book. But
Absolutely.
and that you feel shameful. It's that vulnerable feeling, because it's like, oh God, people are gonna see this, they're gonna judge me. But it's such a beauty in when you're free to share your story. And you have so many people that's like, you know what? Thank you. I've been through that.
Yeah.
Shame, but I appreciate you telling your story, and then like you find people that you connect with, like your own
Yeah.
tribe. And I tell authors, hey, you know, that is your tribe now. You know, if you want to create a, you know, a brand, a business around it, you know, find ways to support your tribe, to nurture them, because if you've been through it and healed, they are looking for that answer, and you are the person that has that answer. So
Absolutely.
definitely, you know,
Yes.
kudos. I'm glad that it's the feeling that you are having. It's beautiful.
The support has been crazy. Like the day, it was April 15th when you shared the flyer of me preparing for my virtual launch for my birthday, which was scheduled for May 1st. And at first, because I didn't know exactly what day I was going to push it, but it was just like when you posted it, I was like, go. And I just posted it. When I say there, it was, I have never had as many shares. There was 52 shares of that
Wow.
post. 52 posts. And that has never happened. Like I've done and created all kinds of things, but the support has been effortless. Like effortless. And it, like I didn't know what to expect. Like with this being my first book, like I mean everybody like from all over Florida, especially my hometown. My mom does Mary Kay, like her people, my dad barber shop and his work, his co-workers. It's just like the support has been amazing. Like I can't be more grateful.
Awesome. So how was your live? Were you nervous?
Oh, yes. Because for one, this talking thing is just not for me. Like I'm not used to talking. You know, I write. That was one of the things that made me want to write a book, because growing up, I was never really vocal because I was so sensitive. And the minute I get ready to start talking, I start crying. So it was just like I could never, so I always wrote, and that was my way of expressing myself. So when it came to this live, and it's like, okay, Ashley, you're going to have to get used to talking to people, which has been one of the things I had an issue with being a realtor, you know, having to go out and talk to people about what you do. And it's more so the people who don't know you, who's the most supportive, like, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to have to branch out from here to go here. But, you know, what am I going to talk about? Like, how am I going to start this conversation? So it was very, very tough. But what I've learned, you know, with both of these situations, being a realtor, now being a new author and preparing for my live, it was like, I'm so passionate about this because of my connection to it. And I think that's what makes the difference. And it makes it more easy for me to speak, you know, because it's literally coming from my heart and my soul. And it's just effortless, you know. So at first it was a little nerve-wracking, you know, but as I started to talk, it was like I just gave it my all. It's just like everything just blacked out, and it was just like, you're gonna get what you're gonna get, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you see any more books in your future?
Yes, I'm actually, because it's so many people that has been asking me like, when is the next one coming? You know, I'm hoping that by the time, because I'm doing this little series of me breaking down each chapter of me going live on Instagram, and which I think will help me as well with engagement. And what I've learned too within this process is stepping out of my comfort zone. Me talking to people, me talking live like this is stepping out of my comfort zone. However, it's been one of the things that has made me successful within this time period. You know, so me doing these lives and breaking down these different topics, I'm hoping that, you know, I would have my next book ready by the time I finish with this series of breaking down this book, because a lot of people are already ready for book 2, you know.
Yes. So what's your IG so people can follow and watch?
So IG, I am Ashley Poole, and on Facebook it's just Ashley Poole.
All right, and Poole is Poole, guys. So I am Ashley Poole, Poole on Instagram, and you said Ashley Poole on Facebook.
So on Instagram it's I am Ashley Poole, and then Facebook is Ashley Poole.
Gotcha. Perfect. Yeah. So I do want to switch gears just a little bit, because I was just when you have been doing a great job at marketing. Like, I was just in awe. Like, I was just loving your posts, your engagement with people. What tips do you have for other first-time authors as far as, like, things that you perhaps done that have been successful? Like you said, you know, stepping outside of your comfort zone, going live. What other tips would you have for first-time authors?
You know, it's so crazy because I've been getting a lot of feedback in regards to my marketing. With some, like, this one guy reached out. He's like, I just took a course and you're doing everything that they're telling me we need to do. And I'm like, well, what am I doing? Tell me what I'm doing. Because, like, marketing, I feel like has been one of my weaknesses, like, over the years with establishing an online boutique. You know, I really didn't know how to engage and reach out to people. And I think it's just the organization. I think it people being able to see your personality through your marketing, because at first it was very bland, in which I didn't realize until my cousin came here a couple of months ago, and she was just like, I hadn't seen her in years, but she was like, you a little boring, you know? Oh. So I had to, like, change it up, like, so people can see a little bit more of my personality, you know, show a little bit more. And as far as affirmations, you know, and then with people who have been reposting my book or messages, I'm constantly sharing those things, and I'm engaging. I'm talking to everyone. Of everybody who leaves a comment, I'm responding to every single person on that timeline. You know, so it's really, like, I haven't really put a science to it. You know, because I feel like I'm still in the learning process, but I think it's just people being able to feel the passion behind what you're doing and being able to peep your personality in addition to that connection. You know, people got to be able to connect with you as well.
Definitely, most definitely. I mean, everything you said, I 100% agree. And I mean, for you to say you're nervous to go live, and I would not have guessed whatsoever. Doing a fabulous and amazing job. So, Miss Ashley, before we leave, can you tell people where they can get your book?
So you can go to ashleypoolebroken.com to purchase the book. However, you can also reach me personally because I get a lot of people who want an autograph. So, like, you can cash app me at I am Ashley Poole, $14 for shipping, which includes shipping. Just make sure that when you do inbox me or DM that you provide your address or P.O. box where you want your book to go to.
Okay. So give that website one more time.
It's ashleypoolebroken.com.
Awesome. Well, Miss Ashley, my twin in name, thank you so much for being on the Get It Done podcast. I want to say you are like a phenomenal testimony. One, you were easy to work with. You know, you were open to suggestions. And then whether you don't know anything about marketing, you are doing a phenomenal job. I'm going to say that. You are doing amazing. And it is showing because we are engaging. I tell people are loving it. And people are posting your book. Okay?
Yes, indeed.
A phenomenal time. A phenomenal job.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the Get It Done podcast, and you have a blessed evening.
Thank
Okay.
you for having me. Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.